second attempt at streaming. We'll reload to see if it says that we are live. Okay, here we go. Okay. It says that the bitrate is low. I don't understand what most of these things mean. But let's try this again. Stream status says it's good. Edit. Okay. That will hopefully start to work. Where did our pen go? I'm sorry that we don't have the avatar up, but it was impacting the stream's ability to work. Anyway, so I will let Mia back in. Okay, so we've got the land mass kind of built up, and the next part of what we are going to do is we are going to subtract some stuff up in the top right corner. Because we've got some water up in the top right corner. And so what I'm doing is just mapping out the general landforms and the water usage. Now after doing some trialing and fiddling around, we use some we decided to get the paid version of this because it would give us options like the cliffs. So we are going to use this, and we want we want this one. Sorry about the sneezes. So we've got here the cliff face, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back in with map making, and I'm gonna make my brush smaller to color in the edge of the cliff to make it line up. something Nova should consider doing for these live streams is having music that we can play in the background. Now, so these cliffs form one of the protection barriers between the mainland of the system and the island that is off the coast here. And so we are working on that. So that cliff face means that it's just a natural barrier that helps keep us safe, if that makes sense. Okay, so we've got those cliff faces over there. Come on. And then we've got the cliff faces that are up in this corner. That's not quite right. We will delete that and we'll come back to our map making. Okay, so we've got some maps here. So what we're going to do is delete you, and then what we're going to do is make you bigger, bring you around. There we go. So we have our cliff face here. Oh, we've just learned a new thing. That's good. So these cliff faces are quite tall. And so I'm going to distort these to make them quite tall. Now, we were planning a different video for today, but filming it didn't quite work out. So we couldn't edit the footage to make the noise not be bad. So that's why we're trying a live stream instead. So the next thing we've got our cliff faces. Next thing we need is let's try sand. No, okay. We haven't found a way to search for something new yet, without closing and opening everything. One of the things we are going to try and look for oh, I forgot the other cliff. Hang on. So this little bit out here is also on a bit of a cliff face. And it's a bit of a double cliff face. So we've got that component, and then we've got not quite far enough. There we go, that's a bit better. And that one for this side. So we will make you that's not the right clip face. I'll get you, bring you over, and we will flip. There we go, that's more like it. We'll get our add and our subtract and fill it in. And we will get our subtract and get rid of the little bits that aren't quite there. Let's smooth that out and add. There we go. Alright, so we've got that little cliff there as well, and this cliff is a bit of another, so we will find like that. Okay, so we've got that cliff face there. Are there any other cliffs that I need to remember? We've got those cliffs, and that cliff. Nope, that's all of the cliffs that we have. Unless you counted just the whole fronting space in general. So let's start just down the front here, because this is where our fronting space is. So this is where our house that we stand in front in. This is where the balcony that we stand on to front is so we're just looking for a little house that kind of looks like our place. Let's do this one. And we're going to make you a lot smaller because our fronting house is nowhere near that big. So this is where we stand and we look over, and it gives us the look of what we see when we... Oh, can you please not do that? Sorry, our cat just attacked our foot. Yeah, so that's where we front. And we've got some... I'm just seeing if there's any other houses that kind of work. Ow, ow, stop it. Stop it. That's a lumber mill. Okay. Yep, so we've got our fronting house there. Now the other thing we have is my front, and we're going to make you a little bit smaller. So basically, if you're on this little cliff face, you are in the front, or at least Kokon, you're aware of what's happening in the external world. So this is where the action occurs. This is where life just happens. And it's just helps us work out where we are, and is kind of the foundation of everything that we so we've got some trees around the front. Just gonna put a few around, and we are going to find some bushes as well. Not quite right. We might try for that again a little bit later. Okay, let's make our tree smaller. Now behind the map, behind the house, we have a pathway that kind of winds from the house down the cliff. Let's see if there's any pathways in the catalogue. Got some ramps. But not quite. Okay, that's okay. Alright. Now fairly central, so that's our fronting area. Now fairly central to our map, we've got a big tree. And it's a very specific type of tree. No. There we go. That's a bit like it. And this tree is quite big, and it sits in the center of the map. And this tree has a little hut. I just need a little hut that kind of looks like my hut. Just trying to find the right. Oh, these are cute. Not quite what I'm looking for. Alright, let's go back to human settlements. And let's have a look at these. Hey, there we go. Alright. So we've got my little hut that is nestled in under the tree. So we will add some text. And this is where I do most of my tasks. Because I have quite a big role within the system. I have quite a big role in terms of making sure that our inner world is usable for those in our system. How long have we? Okay. So we've got my hut and the front. Now the next thing I'm going to do is this patch over here. Now this patch is a bit of a strange bit in our inner world. Basically, if someone needs to just kind of watch the kids in our system, if someone needs to watch the kids in our system but they also need to front, then this is a good place for the kids to be. Most of the time the kids don't need watching. They are very just quite good at looking after themselves. But yeah, this area can be seen whilst you're standing on the balcony watching the front. And being in the body, you can kind of look back and see this section of the inner world by looking out to the side. And so this area, if I go back into open catalog, do we have pencil? Hi friend, it's good to see you. I'm so glad that there's someone here. Yes, so this mapping software is called Incarnate. The version we've got, we paid money for, but it allows us access to all of the images and all of the pictures. But there is a free version that you can use as well. This is pretty cool. So we use this for we use this for just making sure that yeah, so it is a subscription, which is a little bit frustrating. That hi Sweet Pea, our cat just joined us. It is a subscription. We paid for 1 year, and so we are hoping that all of our mapping needs will be completed within the year, so that we will have our maps and then be able to I'm sorry, our words are not working particularly well today. So yeah, it's a very helpful thing that we use. Now, are you okay? What are you doing? Sorry, our cat. Are you settled? Are you happy? Are you okay? Yep, cool. So this is the field. And it is a very can you please? I am so sorry. Our cat walked all over our laptop and turned our internet off. I have no idea how, but we got a notification that our internet was gone. Hopefully you have us back. The field is... Oh. What am I doing? How am I doing that? The field is... probably about like 3 football fields in terms of size. Like if you put them next to each other, it's yeah. We have 2 cats now, and so we've currently got one in our lab, and the other one keeps walking on our laptop. Um, yeah, so the field is quite big. Um, it's really just a really large place for the kids to run around in. Um, so it's got a little bit of fencing around it, but I can't find the right fence for it. Yeah, our inner world is incredibly big as our understanding of our system has grown. The inner world has changed and adapt to the changes within what was needed. So before Nova discovered us, the inner world was really just a place that only the altars who were relevant to that time period were present, and everyone else was in dormancy, and so we didn't really need a lot of space because most of our altars were asleep. But now that we have altars out of dormancy and we've started processing, it has gotten bigger. So we'll start with the settlement that lives about here. So this settlement, hi Sweet Pea, this settlement is a little cluster of buildings and places. And this is where the active altars, so the altars that are specifically related to life, live. And so this is where Summer is, and where Kel is, and where Sebastian is, and the altars that manage work, manage life. It's where the altars who are needed to function and perform daily life live. Can you please not walk on my laptop? I am sorry for the loud noise if there was one. Our cat, don't hop off our laptop. So this is the current era settlement. Now we have a few other settlements in and around our system. So we've got this one, and we've got this one, and then we've got this one. um, so these are some of the settlements that we have. And each of these settlements are a different era of our life. So this one here, this is the, oh, this one. This is the university era. And so the altars who are specifically related to our university, and they don't do much in terms of current fronting, that's where they live if they are out of dormancy. Then this one is our high school era. So these are the altars who specifically dealt with our high school years and the things that happened in those years. This settlement over here is our early childhood years. So from about, well, early childhood. So this is when the body was quite little. So I formed during, this is the, what is going on? Oh, I hit spacebar, right. So this is, hang on. Yes, so the way our trauma worked is a bit different to a lot of other people in that we had very distinct start and ends to the various traumatic times. So our early childhood era kind of, well, started as an infant. That's where I'm from, that's where Mist is from, that's where Sebastian formed, and a few others in our system. And the early childhood era stopped when the body was about 6. No, about 5. And then this era was from when we were around about 6. 5 or 6 years old. And then this one was from when we were 7 through 10. And then this was when we were 11 and 12. And then this one was during our high school years, so our teenage years. So each settlement has a place for the altars who formed during that time to live. Each place also has a resident caretaker, so an altar specifically designed to look after the altars from that era, the trauma holders from that era. Yeah, our trauma started quite young. Our first major trauma was a car crash. And then that kind of set up the groundwork for the dissociation and things like that. Yeah, so we have our different eras. And there is depending on the altar, there is a little bit of connection between them. So, for example, one of our altars, one of our teenage altars, formed in this era, but she continued to function into this era and then went into dormancy in our university. And then came out of dormancy when we discovered our system, or, well, to be more specific, when Nova discovered our system. Now, behind the hut, all the way back up here, we have another path, and we have let's find oh no, we misspelled it. Okay, we haven't found a way to okay, so lodge is not going to work. Yeah, DID is a protection mechanism designed to help a person function despite the horrible things that are happening to them. It is a incredibly powerful disorder, but an also incredibly difficult disorder to live with. And the unfortunate side of it is that the trauma is combined with a couple of other factors is what causes it to form. And so the formation of our DID started as an infant because we were a really sick baby. We were, our parents did what they could to soothe the pain that we were in and soothe the pain, but they couldn't take the pain away. And so that started the formation of dissociating to try and cope with the pain. And then there was the car crash. And then after that, that's when the more extreme, that's when more of the extreme trauma started to happen. Was after the car crash, and so we had already learnt to dissociate by the time that the other big trauma happened. Yeah, CTAD clinic is great. So this building way back here is our respite cabin. So this is where alters go when they need a break. So if something is happening in the front and we need alters to not be around for that, not be aware of that, then that's one of the places that they can go. And yeah, so that's where they can go. That's if someone's having a mental breakdown of some form, then they can go there to get help. It changes depending on what they need. So for some, it is kind of like a psych ward. For others, it's a hospital. It changes depending on what they need. For others, it's just a really warm and safe place. And so it just allows people to grow and be okay. So on this side down here, we have, oh, right now it's Mia. I'm 12 years old. I am in charge of making sure the inner world functions and is a safe place to be. So I am the system architect. I live in the middle of the system, and when someone needs something to happen in the inner world, I am the one who orchestrates it. So I have had a lot of say in how our inner world looks. A lot of the changes between our last inner world video and now were made by me. I have a couple of YouTube videos up. The first time I appeared on the channel was way back when it started. And I was 6 years old at that point. I have aged up quite a bit since then. And yeah, I have aged up quite a bit since then, and my role in the system has changed. I was one of the alters that helped Nova come to terms with the fact that she had DID. So I was one of the first alter. I came out of dormancy specifically to help her learn about the rest of us in the system. I am trying to find. Nope. When we were fiddling around with this, there was a factory-like building that worked incredibly well. We'll go with this one. My aging up was a bit of a gradual process. And not really, it just kind of happened gradually, and it wasn't really anything in particular that caused it except for healing and my role in the system changing. So that's too hard to see. Yes, so it was a bit of a gradual thing. I had been 6 years old since the body was six, and so this was new. Um, okay, so this um, so this pathway is a bit different from the other pathways. So this building here is core/common memory. So these are the memories that everyone needs access to be able to pretend to be our host, no, but to pretend to be a single person in this body. This is where Mist spends most of their time. This is where Mist does her kind of stuff. And the core memory connects. Oh, yeah. The place where we currently live has been absolutely amazing for healing. We have healed so much since the beginning of this year when we moved cities. It has been absolutely wonderful to see. Yep, so that's the common and core memory location. And there is a second part of that location, which is actually up on this cliff face, up the back here. So this part of our inner world is one of the most guarded and protected. There we go. That's how you English. One of the most protected parts of our inner world. It is it is the it holds dormancy, so where our altars go when they are not needed for or not wanting to be around daily life. So there are a couple of different sections back there. I'm trying to find a specific building that we saw when we started looking. Hey, there's a waterfall. What do you mean by observation quarters/areas? As in places where we can monitor the front or something else? Yes, so give me 1 second. No, not that one. I'm really trying to find this building. I think we will have to go with this one. So one of the other maps that we are going to try and make is the layout of the fronting area. So our fronting area, we've got a building at the front, and if you are fronting, if you are in the body, you are on the balcony out the front of looking out and controlling the body and seeing the eyes. So that's where you go when you front. And then if you are just on the inside, so through the door of the balcony in the living room, then you are Kokon, where you can see what's happening in the front and you can talk with the person who's fronting, but you yourself are not in the front. And then the area around here in general, you are aware of what's happening externally, but you don't you can't pass anything through to the front. It's quite difficult to, you have to come inside the building to be able to communicate with the person fronting. And a part of the reason for that is the different amnesia barriers that we have. So we have the person who's fronting, and the balcony itself has an amnesia barrier around it, designed to keep the person fronting from not really being aware of what's happening in the inner world. And then there is another barrier around the house as a whole. No, we are working on communication, but there wasn't always communication. The communication came through a lot of practice and a lot of conversations. So right now I can communicate with the people in the house, and I have an awareness of what's happening in the inner world because I am so connected to the inner world. But for someone like Nova, when Nova is fronting, she can talk to the people in the living room, but that's most of what she gets. Everything else is having to be passed to her by the people who are in the living room. But there was a time period where there was, up until pretty much our discovery, there was a time period where if you were fronting, you had no access to the inner world at all. You had to, and getting communication through and was very, very difficult. And so we have this amnesia barrier around the front, this amnesia barrier around the house, and then an amnesia barrier around the entirety of the cliff face. And a huge part of the reason why we have this in place is our first host, communication got through to her. She learned about the trauma and she couldn't cope with the trauma. And so by putting up all of the varying levels of amnesia barriers, we prevented our current host, Nova, from from having the same issue that our previous altar had, our previous host had. Yeah, so the amnesia barriers are slowly starting to come down, but Nova has quite a lot of difficulty getting through those amnesia barriers, whilst the rest of us are a little bit better at it. And so the whole point of it was to keep Nova completely unaware that she was a system, completely unaware that the trauma existed. Like, Nova went through her part. It is a thing for safety. It is very much a safety mechanism. And the whole point of it was to keep Nova completely unaware, to have her not be aware that there was trauma, have her not be aware that there were others living in her head, to just keep everything away from her. Because the previous time that we let our host know, it did not go well. It was quite dangerous. And so we never thought that Nova would ever be made aware of us. We thought that we would live our entire life with Nova being completely unaware. But that has changed. That has changed, which is good. And we're slowly... the body was 21, 22 years old when she worked out that she was a system. When did we start the channel? We started the channel not too long after we got the diagnosis. Yeah, so we were initially diagnosed, well, we were given, and so we were coming to terms with the fact that we were a system, but our psychologist didn't want to label us with anything, and so we were working, her communication with us was increasing. Yeah. And then she went to our psychologist and said what she knew about DID and OSDD at this point, and she was pretty sure she had one of them, but and so she said to her psychologist, which one do I have? I've got something. What is the essentially, what is the diagnosis? What do I have? And that's when the psychologist came and said that we had OSDD. And so for a very long while, so we started the channel about OSDD so that our community could... Can you please not walk on my laptop? Thank you. Oh. Not on my... What have you done? What did you press? What is... Sorry. Um, if it was 3 years, then we would have been 23. What what year did we start the channel? I apologize for the noise that is about to happen. Ow. Do you mind? "2021", so we were 22 years old when we got the diagnosis. So we started the channel in 2021. So we were 22 when we got the diagnosis, and we started the channel because we had people in our life who had no clue what DID was, had no clue what OSDD was. And oh no, what's happened? And so we started the channel so that we could explain to them what was going on and what our experiences were, and more specifically, how we could be a Christian and have OSCD. Yes, so yeah, 2021. Yes, thank you for telling me to hit save. It takes a little while to save. Yes, so and after a little while, we wanted a formal diagnosis. We needed a formal diagnosis for some other thing that we had, and that's when we got diagnosed with. We did all of the proper screening, we did all of the paperwork. Instead of it just being our psychologist going, yeah, this is what we're going to label you with, we did the formal paperwork side of things and realized that we better fit the criteria for DID than we did for the criteria of OSDD. And it has just been, since then, it's been the continual, each time we come to terms with something new comes up. And so, yeah. We love how the map is turning out. Saving takes a little bit of time. It takes a little while. So it says it goes from 0 to 100. So it looks like it hasn't made any progress on saving, but it has. And then it will go straight to 100 when it's ready. So we'll just let it do its thing. Whilst it's doing its thing, I am going to get up for 1 second and turn off the washing machine because it's beeping. Okay, I'm back, and it saved whilst I was gone. Okay. So these 3 buildings here the second part of our memory. Another person who does really good explanations on the idea in Christianity is Constellation Rising. They are on Instagram and TikTok. And they have really good videos. So this cliff face up here is what we call one's domain. One is one of our hardcore gatekeepers. And then these three buildings, this is Hal's factory, and Hal is our Hal is our gatekeeper when it comes to memories, and so he's the only one who has a complete history on what we've gone through. And so he's got the full history of what has happened to us, and he helps control what memories we process and things like that. So he works very closely with Mist to deal with that. And then this building is our dormancy. And so this is where altars go when they are dormant. It's kind of like this dingy castle type place. And the area around them is very much jungle. So kind of like the hang on. Kind of like the tropical rainforests that you get in northern Queensland. So it's very dark, very hot, very just very thick forest, designed to be pretty much impenetrable. And so making your way, moving around up in that section of our inner world is nigh on impossible if you don't know where you're going. It depends on who the altar is. And the communication between Hal and Mist is not in-person communication. So we have a bunch of pneumatic tubes that run throughout our inner world. So we'll pause on the trees for a moment. Oh no! so we have a there is a pneumatic tube that runs from the core common memory cabin to Hal's factory. And then we have a pneumatic tube that runs from the core common memory to the front. And that's how Mist communicates with the people in the front, is she sends through a message through the pneumatic tube. And if an alter is fronting and they need to pass as being Nova, but they don't have Nova's memories, what will happen is whoever they're speaking to will say something and Nova will go, oh, that's related to this memory, let me send that memory through to you. And then the alter who's in the front can then open up the tube, see the memory, and continue to pass as being Nova. And so Mist and Hal communicate through the pneumatic tubes. And when I say we, I mean Sebastian, Mist, One, and Hal. What they do is they have this meeting via pneumatic tubes where Sebastian will go, okay, what's the next traumatic memory that we are going to process? And they have a talk about it. And then what will happen is One will get that alter from dormancy. And they will come and reside in the current era settlement until their memories are processed, and the relevant memories will go from Hal to Mist, and it will be a process of massive team building to then process those memories. And then once those memories are processed, that alter that we were working with can choose to reside in one of the little villages that we have in our inner world, or they can go back to dormancy. They can choose to they can choose how much participation they have in life. So they can choose to go to dormancy, they can choose to spend time in the respite cabin, they can go to whatever settlement they feel most connected with. And so it's really up to them. It's really up to them with what they do with that. And yeah, it is difficult work and it's not always streamlined. Sometimes something will happen and then an alter just gets shot straight to the front and it's like, we are processing with this right now. We are going to start tackling this right now. Like, no one gets a say in it. It just happens. So that's one's domain. And then way back here, yes, so it's the best way for information to get into the front as well is to go via Mist and get access to the pneumatic tubes because it's pretty much the only way to guarantee information will end up somehow in the front. Now this settlement here was from early high school, late primary school. And has a little bit of a settlement out the back of it. Okay, so church didn't work. Let's try again. Grave. Let's see what this comes up with. We were in the wrong thing. There's probably... Here we go. There we go. That's what we are after. So this is a part of our inner world that we call the crypt. It's a place that Nova only recently learned about. And it's a part of our inner world that only select people have access to. So Wraith can go there, and then everyone else who goes there is not a regular fronter. The alters who reside there, they have their own subsection of the inner world. Kind of like the TARDIS, where you go into the crypt and it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. And those alters deal with a very specific type of trauma. One that we haven't spoken too much about on this channel, because for quite a lot of it, Nova's not ready to become aware of it. So she knows that they exist, and she knows that they deal with a specific type of trauma, but she doesn't know details beyond that. So that's the crypt. And then over on this side, I don't know if the map has it. Let's see. Let's see. We want... Let's have a look. So this is a whirlpool that we are using to represent cyclones. So this water is very difficult to navigate. If you're not supposed to be there, then you can't get through. And so there's like this perpetual superstorm that kind of exists. So, and this is one of our brain mechanisms that prevents alters from accessing the island if they don't have a reason to be there. And the island is a place where alters can go if they are needing a place to use some more destructive coping mechanisms. It's a place where they can go where they are not harming anyone, basically it's a place where they can just scream and do intense physical activity, not self-harm, but just intense physical activity, and get the anger out. And so there's a couple of settlements over there, but mostly it's just we've got like parkour, things like that out there that just gives people a chance to express emotions that scare quite a number of our younger littles. And so it's primarily there so that anger can be expressed and hurt can be expressed without further traumatizing littles who are scared of anger and who are scared of any emotion that can be perceived as negative. And so a lot of our persecutors will use that space where they can self-express without hurting the littles. It's quite nice over there. It's not a bad place. It just means that for the alters who are not wanting to it's a safe place for our persecutors to express themselves without them causing harm to the others in our system. And so there's like numerous tracks. There's like jungle gyms and skydiving and just a whole bunch of stuff that they can do without worrying the littles who are afraid. And so basically the big storm is basically to just prevent our littles from accessing it. Our teenagers like Vin goes over every now and then, not that she's a persecutor, but just because it's a great place for her to run around and do things that the body physically is not capable of doing. In terms of so it's we've deliberately set up our inner world so that people's needs are being accommodated without them infringing on other people's needs. So the respite cabin is kind of like the island, except it's a lot more comforting, it's a lot more gentle, whereas this allows you to sweat it out basically. So that's our kind of the general mapping of our inner world. We have different landscapes throughout it. So like this here is very much it's very much more along the tropical the dry tropic, well, not dry, not so much rainforest, but just tropical side of things. This area is very much cooler, foresty in general. The respite cabin is in a forest, We over here it's a bit more kind of like outback Australia, the plains, the dry heat, that kind of stuff. And so depending and so a lot of the areas just kind of reflect on places that we've been and places that we've visited. Um, there's like fantasy forest as well. There's a whole range of stuff. But yeah, this is a pretty good map of what our inner world looks like. The only thing to change really is the fronting. Because in terms of the inner world, on the map it's currently represented as blue. But I'm going to turn it to white. Because kind of if you go to the edge of the field and if you go past here, kind of, you actually kind of end up you kind of end up looking into cloud. So it's not really, so it kind of gets cloudier the closer you get to the edge of the inner world. So that's kind of the way this goes. We're going to hit save so that that doesn't change again. Thank you so much for hanging around with us as we do this. The video we initially had planned, the audio we couldn't use, and so we've had to come up with this as an alternative. And Nova was the one who suggested live streaming it, and so yeah, because we were initially going to screen record and then go from there. And it's saving. Something that I will be doing over the next little bit will just be adding some more of the general features. Just kind of like adding the trees, adding bridges and things like that. Yeah, so someone asked about traveling so in terms of, is it like a dream where you flash from one place to the next, or are you walking all the way? Like so in terms of traveling, you kind of start wherever you start and you end up wherever you end up, and you don't really remember the travel, you just have the sense that you have traveled. So it's kind of like the process of where you drive somewhere on autopilot and you don't really remember the drive, but you just kind of rock up and you're aware that you have driven, but yeah, you don't remember the drive itself specifically, if that makes sense. Yeah, so this is our inner world. Yeah, so thank you for joining us. The body is now very fatigued, so we are going to save as clone resize map. Oh, we're learning things about this program. But yeah, I'm gonna sign off here, and we will see you all in the next video. I know that Nova has quite a bit planned. Yes, the driving metaphor is interesting. Yeah, it is. It is a form of dissociation, and it's something that that happens quite frequently. Anyway, we hope you have a good rest of your day, so thank you. We hope you enjoy your evening, because I'm assuming you're in America, or the rest of your day as well.